There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and... I wish I could remember the words. I remember laying down, pretending I was in space, listening to David Bowie in that song. Welcome, everybody. Today's Truth Bomb podcast is inspired by the Richie Allen Sunday morning melodies. Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you're on playback, thanks for joining me, whatever time you are in the world. This is just spontaneousness. It's spontaneous moment. So I just want to start by saying thanks for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for even listening, acknowledging that maybe sometimes this this man, I used to call myself young. I am a young man in heart, in mind. I'm a young man. I don't know why people used to listen to me at the beginning. I was nervous, but I think we all have a voice, even the smallest of birds, and we all have a song to sing. My song predominantly is through experience, and that experience is really important to me. And I noticed knowledge and experience were two very different things. And I'd like to dispel the notion of knowledge being vital and critical to humanity. I'm going to expose something now which you probably don't know because you've never probably sat and meditated for 20 years and you've never experienced being in the company of the spirit world when you're doing healing sessions, as I've done thousands of healing sessions and then experienced spirit coming through and giving us messages, and also to confirm that, listening to the client where they've had a healing session or whether they're moving into the light and they give you feedback or from one thing or another. So I'm going to hopefully help you think a little bit more about life and why we're here. It's definitely part of why we're here, this conversation today. And the reason why I say this, but this conversation has been kind of bothering me for a while. And then when I watched listened to Richie Allen radio show, it just, all the pieces came together and I thought it's a good time to talk about it. So if you look at the, I hope I've spelt it correctly, is knowledge more important than experience? Breaking that spell. So you can go online now and you can be inundated with knowledge. That knowledge, I got something in my teeth. Sorry, I've just eaten an apple. That knowledge can be misinterpreted. It can be made up. It can be variations of truths. Manipulations. It can be propaganda. So let's break down what knowledge actually means. What does the word mean? Being a spell, knowledge. For me, when I see the word knowledge, it has a capital K and it's silent. So shut that up because you don't know what you're talking about. And I feel like I want to say that to all of these people who are podcasters talking about ancient wisdom and knowledge and gods and spells and all of these things. It drives me insane because they think they've got the answers because they've read text and they're trying to give us this knowledge. And after we've sat there for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and I just want to stop them and say, and yeah, but don't you know that this is to do it? Yeah. And your point, what are you trying to actually tell the world? What are you contributing towards the world? Because here's how I see it. I spent my life in school learning bullshit that, all right, maybe I needed to know what 1 + 1 is, even though 1 times 1, we don't really know because it's all BS. But just so that we kind of figure out what we're talking about. I've got an apple, you've got an apple, right? Do you want my apple? Then you've got 2 apples. Okay, I get that. I get that kind of knowledge. But when we're talking about trying to explain history, I was sat there looking out the window thinking, I just want to die. I want to get out of this room. Why? Because there was no truth in any of it. And your consciousness knows this. It's like somebody sat there who's abusive trying to tell you that they're perfect and wonderful and you're not. You're a bad person. You're a bad child because you're not listening. You don't respond. You don't learn. You don't pay attention. And so on. Like, that's not teaching. That's not knowledge. That's brainwashing. That's abuse. And what's coming out of your mouth is a waste of energy because it's not penetrating. It means nothing. Now, when you are with somebody, and the Richie Allen radio show is a perfect example, right? I'm talking about not the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show. I'm talking about the Sunday melodies. When he starts doing the Sunday melodies and before you listen to a record, Richie says, now we're going to talk about this person. Now, the reason why this person wrote this song was because of this reason. And it could have been that they went to a certain place, they saw somebody, they fell in love with them, that person just treated them like shit. They wrote the song about them, and even after writing this song and presenting it to them, they bogged off because they weren't interested. And this person just couldn't keep that person. Then you listen to the song and you hear the words, and it means something. True stories are called experiences. Experiences are that what touches the soul. Experiences are truth. So a truth is an experience. So your experience, when you talk to me about what you've been through in your life, it could be one part of your life that touched you so much through your experience. You will tell me that story and I guarantee you I will listen and I will pay attention. Why is that, folks? Why is that? Why didn't I listen to my teacher when he was telling me about history, when he was telling me about Mao Zedong, when he was telling me about Rasputin, when he was telling me about many, many subjects that some of them I just did not feel anything at all. It was, okay, and. So when you tell me a story and I listen to it, it's because there is frequency and energy in truth, in experience. Now, I want to put something to you guys. This has been pumped around by the propaganda machine, okay? That's brainwashed 90% or 95% of humanity. And that is, if we don't remember our past, we will make the mistake again in our future. All right then. So, how many people remember what Adolf Hitler did, or supposedly did? Hands up, please. Okay, why are we in another war every single week, month, year? If we know our history. So my point is that knowledge is bullshit. It doesn't mean nothing. It means nothing because when you have that information and knowledge of your history, it's meant to mean that we don't repeat it again. That's got nothing to do with this planet Earth. There are monsters on this planet that will continue to make a mess of this world, that want to turn it into evil, and they want to do bad because that's who they are. That's what they want. They would rather be dancing in fire and flames than to dance in love and hold hands with people and feel the love. That's death and poison to them. That's the worst thing that they can think of. It's got nothing to do with history, because history is a lie anyway. And knowledge that you are telling me of your past, of biblical texts, of ancient gods, means nothing. Yes, everything is a spell. All words are spells. Yeah, and so it's all about intention. It's not about the word. It's about intention. Everything is, you know that. Intention, what does that mean? It means frequency. If I'm pissed off with you, right, I will share that energy if I'm mad and angry, and you will feel it. It's not the words. We say, oh yeah, morning, and I've come to understand that the more I fight this, the more I realise it's bullshit. It doesn't matter whether you're morning or good, have a good morning. Doesn't matter, it's the intention. Hiya, have a great morning. Great energy. A great energy, it comes from a good place. It's love, it's kindness. If you're saying it in a nasty and you mean it nasty, it's all to do with frequency and energy. But let's get back to the knowledge, right? I've wrote some things down here that I'd like you to try and just think about. You get what I say, right? Personal stories are the most important thing. Now, when you read a book and all of a sudden, because you could say to me, yeah, but knowledge has made me experienced. Like, hang on, I've got a brother, I had a brother-in-law who used to read a book a day. His knowledge was profound. The guy couldn't make a cup of tea. He couldn't live his life. He just couldn't do anything. He struggled with life. He struggled with, he couldn't dress properly. He couldn't eat properly, even though he claimed to be a vegan. He was the worst kind of vegan, eating crisps and crap. Oh, but I'm not eating meat. Yeah, fair enough. But look at you. You just look like you're sick. So all this information, point being, experience is more important than the knowledge, because look what happened. Knowledge served no purpose there whatsoever. Knowledge is just knowledge. But experience, if I said to you, look guys, I was really sick, I got cancer, and I decided to not go down the chemo route, and I started to eat this and that, and these are the things what I did, and all of a sudden my cancer disappeared and I healed myself. Many people have gone through healing. Many people have healed through that without that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But in that experience of sharing that with somebody, people go, Jesus Christ, wow, I feel that. And all of a sudden it's a frequency of experience that then changes your energy, and you become more heightenedly aware. You've absorbed it. It's burned into your consciousness, because you know truth when it's being spoken. It's absolutely amazing how your experience can change the world. But you would say, well, experience is knowledge, because then you write it down and share it. No, it's not always the case. We look back on history. Books are great, but what does it all mean? I've got books there, right? And I'll read through a book, right? Because books to me are, and books and not all knowledge are a little gentle key nudges. That's what they are, just gentle key nudges. I'll explain what that means. So I start flicking through the book and I'm reading it, okay? And all of a sudden, boom, something hits me like a ton of bricks. What is that? Is that knowledge that's now created me and done something to... No, that is a key point in where our home world is nudging us to the right information to be able to follow that path. Information, knowledge is beautiful, but if you don't do anything with it and you don't follow through with it, it's meaningless. So I can read a book and something can, like, wow, stand out to me. I have to understand why that stood out to me. I have to figure this out. So I'm sat there thinking, when I've read that book or read part of it and sat down and thought about it, I realized that I am being guided by tons of information all over, everywhere, regurgitated information, recycled information, and I'm just picking these key points that help me along my journey. So this, which you would call knowledge from books, are merely key pointers. They're just helping us and little guiding bits along our journey and path that we need to experience. Knowledge means nothing. If a book sits there, does nothing, what does it mean? No, you get up and you go you make a cup of somebody, or you sweep the doorstep for them, or you give somebody a lift somewhere, that is experience. I'm reading a book. I'm going to cut to the chase and tell you this is how it is, right? The amount of people who just about moved back to the spirit world and said, I didn't realize, right, why. I come to understand why that is through listening to the spirit world telling me. The spirit world, as many people talk about, you've got your David Icks who say this spirit world is all and ever will be, all that is and ever will be. Yes, it is. But what you fail to understand is that we are not all knowing and seeing in the spirit world. That's why we come here and other worlds, because we come to experience, and through that experience, we take that experience back, add it to the ocean of who we are, and that lifts and raises the experience, the everything, and then it's through experience that we add to our home world. And the thing is, guys, it's really as simple as this. Your experience is nobody else's. That makes you so important. Why? Because when you go back to your home world, when this spacesuit disintegrates, when it dies, whether it's cancer, whether you get knocked over, it doesn't matter. Your soul, your little drop of water that goes back into that ocean is experience, what you've experienced. Now, when you've gone back in there, right, just before you do, and you see everything that comes in front of your eyes, and you realize that you haven't really experienced anything, all you've done is read, and you've done nothing. You haven't really been anywhere. You haven't really done anything. You haven't really created anything, right? You go, shit, I got it all wrong. So you go back there, no problem. You're just not really adding to what I believe is a consciousness that's ever growing through our personal experience. That's how I see it. So everything that you do, Big Gaz, is so important, Mitch, so important. Everything Lisa does today, what you do through personal experience, is so important, because that experience then goes back to our home world and it's integrated into the one ocean that learns and grows through everything that you've been through. Whether you got it right or wrong has got nothing to do with anything, because getting it wrong tells us how we get it right. So we learn from the wrong, which is equally as important as learn from the right. And I'm not talking about murdering people. I'm not talking about raping people. That's a different energy. They've got nothing to do with us. I'm talking about our home world. So these are the things that are important. Let me give you another example. There was a man that came into this world, and he was called Tesla. He spent his time observing. He spent his time channeling. He spent his time creating. He spent his time observing through experience, learning, creating, working. Everything that he learned became part of his observations, which he wrote down. Then you get people who take that information, regurgitate it, and sell it as their own. Elon Musk. You've got two people here. You've got a living genius, and you've got somebody who stole that information. So the information that they've stolen, you would call knowledge. Tesla had his own experience. Which is the most profound? It's got to be the experience. Therefore, the conclusion has to be that we have to create our own experience, which is individual to us, what we learn, not steal, not regurgitate. And we can spend all our time talking about knowledge. We can spend all our days learning about ancient knowledge. And what? That God died on the cross. God didn't die on the cross. Jesus didn't exist. Yes, Jesus did exist. Yeah, he had children. No, he didn't have children. So what? What is that going to do in the world? Who cares about gods of the past? It has no relevance to your future and the moment that you live. I experience through knowledge of books and stuff, but I don't hold. I've got things up here behind me of gods and Buddhas and what I pick from that are little things that I'm a little hint of this and a hint of, let me try that, okay, good, nothing wrong with that. But I just see people now getting into this energy of more and more destructive. It's a cesspit. It's keeping people still. It's more information. Input, Stephanie. We're turning into AI robots. We're turning into short circuit. And we are not actually living or doing anything. We're not creating. We're screaming and shouting at each other, saying who's more important, who knows the most knowledge, who's got the most experience through knowledge, just knowledge. That ain't experience. You've read a book, that doesn't give you experience. Experience is getting out there and doing something. Experience is becoming a healer and starting to heal. And experience is working as a carpenter or a sculptor and doing the work, or an artist, or whatever you decide you want to do to make a difference in this world. I have met so many people who are so fucking boring, and all they ever do is read books and quote scriptures and tell me about words. I mean, I listened to Jordan Maxwell. Brilliant, amazing, great, but what does it mean? What has it done? He never saved the world. It continues no matter what you say and do. Yes, but if it wasn't for him telling me this, I would do that. I get that. That I get. That is your only argument. Yes, through knowledge, we can embrace and utilize it. But my point is that knowledge is becoming so diluted. There's so much knowledge that nobody is embracing anything. It's now become a cesspit of knowledge which is insignificant, and it's a 3-second meme, or it's a 1 minute short, and it's just in and out. It's meaningless. It hasn't penetrated. It doesn't mean nothing. I listened to the Richie Allen radio show today and listened to the stories that were told, and listened to the guy called Sue, and he wrote a story because he met somebody called Gene, who was a man, and he's Gene with a J, right? And he was like, so your name's Gene? Yeah. So you were named a woman's name, a bit like Leslie, right? I knew a Leslie as a guy and Leslie as a woman. So he thought that were funny. So he wrote a story with a song with regards to Sue. And it was great, and I sat and listened to the song, and he hated his dad, and he got picked on at school, and he was fighting everybody because they all called him Sue. He was a girl, and he said, one day I'm going to meet my father and I'm going to kill him. And then one day he met him in a bar, right, and he saw him, and they started beating each other up. And his father was really strong and beat him to a pulp nearly, but they got up, and Sue drew his gun ready to shoot him, and his father says, the reason why I call you Sue, I know you're upset, but I knew I wasn't going to be with you for the rest of your life. So I gave you the name Sue so that you became the man that you are. So you're strong and you're tough now, and you don't let anybody mess you about. And that was because I gave you the name Sue, because I knew you needed that name. And then the guy with a gun put his gun down and gave him a hug and had a different perspective of life. Now, listen to that. How did I remember that? Out of all the bullshit that we hear on the internet every day, all the bullshit that's on the internet of people regurgitating information, telling us about this God and that God and this name and that name, and if you take this name and take that name and listen to that, put that together, and then don't you understand? And what are you saying, mate? What are you trying to tell us? But what's the point of all of this? Oh, but there's bad people, and these bad people, we need to know these spells and that. And what are you doing with your life, mate? What are you actually doing? Tell us what you're doing with your life. Are you enjoying yourself? Are you going to get out there and go for a walk and enjoy yourself? Are you going to start to experience? Tell me about your experience of your actual life, and what have you done that's really touched your heart? Not much, is there? No, because all you're doing is you've absorbed all of this stuff regurgitated it that you don't know anything about. You're only making it up. You're not really 100% sure about anything anyway, are you? Because you've never experienced it. You are just trusting in words and you're putting things together, but you don't really know anything. The only thing you know is when you get out there and experience your life, and you can say, yeah, I did meet a guy and we did have a fight and this happened. Okay, yeah, and now I'm listening. Now I hear your experience. And I went out there and I saw this guy on the street and he was getting beat up by it, and I went over and I stopped it and I said, don't touch that guy. All right, I'm listening now. And through that experience, now I'm learning through your experience. Your knowledge, through that experience, I'm learning. What I'm trying to say is your knowledge is... The experience is the knowledge that is given to us, not regurgitating other information. That's why I never became a Reiki master. That's why I never became a pranic healer. That's why I never learned other people's healing. I wanted to learn myself. I wanted to experience what was a healing session through my own healing. And now what I teach to others is don't learn from me, learn from yourself. Pure energy healing isn't a modality, it's a way of you finding out your true experience, embracing it and using that to become the healer that you were always meant to be, which is individual. Don't copy. Don't become me, because you'll never be the powerful you. You'll only be a copy. And that's the same with information. When you read all of this knowledge, you're copying somebody else's information. Learn yourself through experience. Write it down, and then that's your book. Rather than regurgitating everybody else's information, writing it down, that ain't your information, pal. That ain't your knowledge. Don't come to me as if you're knowledgeable. You're not. All these people are on the internet now pulling each other down because I know this and this biblical text and this and that. You know nothing, mate. You're regurgitating stuff that I don't care whether you're a scholar or not. You don't know anything, because anything can be modified, blown out of proportion, said in a way that you wouldn't even understand what they meant 2,000, 10,000 years ago. So your interpretations are just blah, 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 nothing. Oh, it's brilliant, it's amazing. It's like Jordan Maxwell, when he talks about things, it just, yes, but, and? What does that mean? It just tells us that nobody knows anything. Jordan talked about, Jesus turning the water into wine. Fascinating, because the Father is the heavens, Mother is Mother Earth. So when the rain comes down, it touches the seed grows into grapes, so thus the water is changed into wine. The grapes become wine. So interpretation, nobody knows anything. We're all making it up. The only thing that's important in life is your personal experience, and they're taking it away from you because they want to send you all over the place, but looking at old text and learning that. But Mark, didn't you learn about this kind of healing technique? You should learn about this. It's so important. Actually, I've learned through individual clients feeling what they're going through. Yes, but why didn't you learn from the text? You don't really have any understanding of life, do you? Well, everybody else who wrote what they wrote and experienced what they experienced was just their experience. What I'm experiencing now, what I've wrote down, is my experience. What difference is their experiences to mine? What are you trying to say? That knowledge in the past is more important than personal experience now? Is that what you're saying? So what you don't realize you're doing, madam, is you're trying to stop me from having my own experience and want me to be a copy of somebody else's experience. I'm sorry, dear, you're wrong. The experience that you have every day, guys, should be utmost, the most important experience in your path, journey, spiritual life. That is the only thing that's important. Your experience. And don't listen to the bullshit of all of these people thinking they're amazing and they're talented. It's bollocks. Your experience is equal to anybody else, as important. The only difference is that they've got a platform, or maybe they've got family or people who want to push their agenda. It's bollocks. Honestly, means nothing. You are important. Everything that you do is important. And yes, there's nothing wrong with reading old knowledge. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying let's put it into perspective. And that is that your experience should be the most important thing in your life. And I swear on my hand on my heart, if you embrace your own experience at the point of your leaving this body, you will take a deep breath and you will relieve, because you will realize that when you go back into your beautiful ocean that is called our spirit world, you will have given vital information that heightens the awareness of our consciousness, that makes us all elevate and grow, because everything grows. Nothing stays still. The universe, the flower, your breathing, everything breathes in and out, expands, detracts, expands. That is what it is. We're growing. The universe, they're just figuring out it's growing and expanding all the time. And so is consciousness. So if you're going to stick your head in a bloody book or in ancient texts, fine, do it. But if you ain't going to do anything with it, if you personally aren't going to experience your life and do something with that and make changes and do something amazing and create and make the world a better place and experience so that you've got understanding of what you've experienced. Like, I've learned something today. I've learned something good. What have you learned? I've learned that if I go out onto this street and I pass somebody by and I look at them in their eyes and just smile, they smile back. And I've noticed now that the more I smile at people, the more they smile back. And I'm learning that smiling at people and saying, good morning, most of them smile back. Not all of them. A lot of them are grumpy and nasty and don't even look at me. But it's okay, because I feel so good when somebody smiles back, and it makes me feel connected and makes me feel like we're still human. And good morning, good morning. I walk in this village. I used to do videos all the time saying good morning, and everybody used to say good morning as I walked through. You can watch the videos on here back. I've walked through this village and said good morning to tons of people, and it's lovely and it's healing and it's a connection. So I bring that. Well, what do you mean by that? What does it mean? It means that it heals me, it heals them. We grow from that and we feel better, and our body starts to heal, and there's something that happens to you, and it clears the negativity, it clears the fear, it clears the worry, it clears the depression, and all of a sudden, okay, I'm better, and now I feel more connected. Something's happened that's cleared. Now I feel connected to Mother Earth. So I go for a walk and I sit down by the tree, and all of a sudden I see things that I never saw before, because I'm not miserable and disconnected, and I'm like, wow, I'm fit. And all of a sudden, Jesus Christ, did I just feel somebody in the spirit world? Did I just see a feather just come down that I wouldn't have done if I'm depressed and I'm not looking at people, I'm not smiling at people? And so now I've got this information. This information stores inside me. Might sound silly, might sound stupid, but it stores inside me, and that is vital information that is given to our home world when we get there, and it's absorbed into this ocean, so we grow and expand in a loving way that makes sense to me. That why we come here is through our experiences. I am not pulling people down who spend their years understanding old text, but I have to ask, what is the point? Personal knowledge. I'm sorry guys, but all that ancient text is already repeated information that the spirit world already knows. We already know this. We know everything that is of our past, but our future, our experience here and now is what we bring to our home world. Does that not make sense? So the past is already absorbed. We already know it. We already re-encounter it every day. It's already in the ether. It's already out there for us to pull and utilize as part of our journey of the experience. But the experience is far more important than the knowledge that we pull down. So yes, I'll have a great piece of information and knowledge, but that knowledge is a key that helps us along our path and journey to go to where we're meant to be going. Our experience, this is the whole point. The experience is the far more important to our life. It's far more important. So that's kind of like what I feel about that. What do you feel about that? It's really it. That's really all I've got to say. I've mentioned it before, but what resonates with me, guys, is your personal story. It really is. I am more interested in what you've been through, not what you've learned from somebody else. So what I'm sharing with you today is maybe a wake-up call. Wake up, get out there, do something, create something, write a book through your own personal experience. That was one of the biggest things that Spirit World always said to me when I gave readings. You should write a book. It wasn't about writing a book. They were trying to encourage us to be our own author in life. Every page is every day. Every chapter is every year. The whole book the end is your life. But you have to experience, you have to share your experience with yourself. Sometimes we forget who we are. And this is like, wake up, who are you? Well, this is what I went through. Why do you think I always talk about my experiences of a childhood to now? That's my experience, that's my journey. And I share that as a reminder to become stronger and to learn and break the mold of what I came here to do, not just my parents, but me, and to be understanding and to be kind and to be sad and to be angry and all of those feelings, all of those energies are experiences to understand. I've got loads more stuff to conquer. I've got lots more than you to conquer. And I've been a healer for 20 years, but I still have demons. I still have issues that I need to heal and I have to work through. But it only comes through experience, not through books, not through psychologists, not through healers per se. It's basically me finding myself and learning through experience. That's my whole discussion between knowledge and experience. That's where I stand with it. I am not saying knowledge is bad. It's just that the issue is most people just regurgitate knowledge. And I'm sorry, guys, but I've spent most of my life listening to people who are on podcasts talking about knowledge. And I just look at them and see their life being an absolute, like, it's not really helped you much, has it then, pal? You're not doing right well in life. You're not really, what are you doing? Is this it? You know, I never speak ill of the dead, never. But I absolutely thought the understanding of maritime law via many people, but I used to listen to Jordan Maxwell. But if I was with him, just like I was, I've come to the age that I don't buy into heroes. And it's a valuable lesson. Don't buy into heroes. Don't look at people like Elon Musk or Trump. Don't look at them as heroes. Don't look at them. Even people who are like Barbara, who is doing I don't know her last name, but she's called Barbara and she teaches a lot about herbs and stuff like that. What you gain from these people is vital, of course. You learn a lot, and we are thankful for all of that. But don't put these people on pedestals, okay? And what I find is every time I meet somebody that I'm almost feeling like I want to put them on a pedestal, you're always going to get let down. I remember listening to Jordan Maxwell, and he always seemed angry. He was invaluable with his information, but he was always angry and bitter about everything. And I wondered to myself, at the day he died, what did he really learn himself? Yeah, he absorbed knowledge, he shared knowledge, people love that, but personally, what did he personally get when he moved into the spirit world? That knowledge has always been there, it's in the spirit world, it's always there, it's just regurgitated, it's reread, and it's recycled. But what did his real experience? Now, when Jordan talked about his personal experiences, that man that was bitter wasn't there. He spoke about being in a car, and he was told by a psychic that there's going to be a day that you're going to be in a car with 3 people or 2 people. You're going to be sit here, that guy's going to be there, and you're going to go down this road, and you're going to encounter extraterrestrial. And he told us this story, and it was fascinating, and it all happened exactly that way. And they saw this, UFO, and he said, I'd already been told about this moment by a psychic. Now, when you listen to that, there is no bitterness, there is no anger, there is no, there's just no negativity. So the point being is that when he talked about things that got him upset and angry, you could feel his rage, and that he hadn't done well in life per se. He didn't have his own house. He was living in somebody's garage the time he died, and with all this knowledge, and everything got stolen from him, everybody cheated him, and so on. So my point is that I find that with a lot of people who regurgitate knowledge, who learn knowledge, and they share the knowledge, and yet everything gets stolen from them, and they get upset, and they end up with nothing, right? And I see that as a pattern, as a healer, as somebody who observes. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. So what I would say is that why haven't you utilized that knowledge and created something in your own life and created a wonderful abundance and experience? You see what I mean? So, like I said, knowledge isn't powerful. It doesn't bring wealth or abundance. It's your actions. It's what you do. It's your experience. And I'm not talking about monetary. I'm talking about joy, happiness, and being able to sit down and tell beautiful stories, and just the experience of who you are is vital, in my humble opinion. It's vital. And so the balance, I feel, is, yes, it's lovely listening to old text and reading some old text, and that's okay, but it isn't as important as your experience. So, you might argue the fact that, well, they're both hand in hand, and yes, I get it. But why I'm saying it is because I'm seeing more and more people turn into couch AI potatoes. All they do is pick this phone up, and I see them like zombies, scrolling. Information, knowledge. Put it down. The day's gone. Hi, what are you doing? What do you mean? What? Oh, you're angry, aren't you? Yeah. What do you want? You're angry because you know that what you're doing is bullshit. And you feel guilty because this isn't what you should be doing, because your consciousness is that is saying, what are you doing? You're meant to be living. And your consciousness is saying that. Then your brain kicks in saying, no, input, because your brain is now turned into AI technology. It's been taken over. It's been hijacked. So then there's a battle between, and that's why you get angry with me when I say, why are you scrolling all day long? What are you getting out of that? What good's it? And yeah, but guess what? This God is this God, and this God is that God, and this name is this name. And if you put them names together, come on, think about it. What? And your point? Yeah, my point is it. Yeah, but have you been outside? Have you actually tried to enjoy yourself? Have you actually created something? Have you done something worthwhile? Have you had a life? Because I tell you, I promise you this: the day you die, you're going to go, Jesus Christ, what did I do? And you'll be coming back down again. There you go. That's my little chat today. You may take it, you may leave it, but it's food for thought. And I do wish you all a lovely day, and take care of yourselves. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me. Take care. Bye.